yourself and your teammates. And a nail on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we...
Hold up. Quick public service announcement. Is anyone else's check engine light on? Mine sure is. No? Gosh darn it, Minnesota. Anywho.
Go.
Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Welcome back to NETMA. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. And yes, Indianapolis got niced. We got very well niced. This is what happens. You make a bet with a kicker from Minnesota. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. Welcome to post week 1 NETMA. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have each and every one of you here. It's just, you see Michael Turillo. I don't just do poorly in making predictions. My bets go as well as my 2-10 predictions do. In fact, I'm 2-10 in bets, in lifetime bets. Just goes to show you how good of a bettor I am. Yes, bring it on. Get stopped. Yes. So good to see so many of you already jumping in. I don't think I've had this many people jump in before a video even begins. Like, I am thoroughly impressed. DJ The Mist here. Bo Martin Jr.'s here. David Leathers here. Brian Loveless is here. DB is here. Ethan Kai. Cameron Irvine. Michael Trillo. They're all here. RH Video's here. So many new and old faces I met at the convention this past weekend. It was a phenomenal convention. And if you just take a look about the style of convention from last year, we had it at Las Vegas on the Strip, glam, glitz, and glory at Las Vegas. I think Cincinnati was true to its roots, and it's low-key one of the best cities in the United States. Just in our local area. Yes, we were technically over in Covington, but being able to have the Cincinnati skyline behind us was phenomenal. Ron Haynes clearing up in there. Appreciate you, Ron Haynes. Robert Brady's also here. Damon Simeon, among others. What a crowd already. What a crowd already. We're already 2 subscribers away from 150. That would be phenomenal if we can get that here in the next couple of weeks. Though, you know, I'm a YouTuber now. I have to mention the algorithm. But fantastic weekend. Yes. Thank you, Brian. I enjoy working with kids. I was a camp counselor for a summer at my childhood camp, and I enjoy working with kids. I enjoy mentoring, enjoy coaching, and if I can be a positive impact to anybody, young, old, indifferent, That's the person I want to be. But again, it was so good to see so many of you. We hope you guys can join us next year at the next convention because that was fun. But let's get to the meat and potatoes part of all what the convention was. It was the kickoff of a new era, right? So many different things happened at the convention, and let alone the live and pre-recorded convention games, aka SFL Blitz. There were some live games that were pretty tight. There were some other live games that, well, for the lack of better terms, got niced. 69-24, Mickey, in case you're wondering, in case you want to hear that again, 69. We have a new chant now with the SFL. If those of you remember I think it was the Atlanta convention where Rastelli had ham. Our new chant, our new calling card, our new battle cry is special teams. Thank you, Cliff Allen. Thank you, Cliff Allen. All right, let's quickly run down the games. Of course, the weekend and this era already is being defined by the running back. And, of course, we kick off with game number 1. Charlie Boletsky over 300 yards in what would largely be considered amongst the SFL a shock as Florida take down Baltimore. Baltimore not given a home game after winning another championship. That's quite special. But regardless, you have to play the games and you have to win. So for the first time in, I think, 7 or 8 seasons, Baltimore loses week 1. Baltimore loses week 1. I think that's bigger than the storyline for the running backs. And yes, a running back got the job done in Boletsky. Moving on to a couple other games. The Hall of Fame game, Carolina was unceremoniously deposed while Motor City takes control, and they come away with a great win. Though the storyline for them is they win in week 1, but can't seem to find wins later on down the line. And that'll come up here in section number 2, where I'll go into a whole bunch of different topics, but more importantly, the running back situation. And of course, kickoff Saturday for all the legendary folks over in Minnesota. For once, I'm disappointed. And for once, I'm not happy to have lost to have lost from a team from Minnesota. I'm not happy from a team from Minnesota for one weekend. It'll be 4 weekends out of the year where I have to dislike Minnesota, at least four weekends out of the year. Louisiana takes care of business against the Bugs in Atlanta, aka the Swarm. Sioux Falls falls handedly to Houston. Alamo City comes away with a great win, a 24-17 win after being down 10-0 for a long period of time, 1 quarter to be exact, and then all of a sudden they come away in the second half and really put the nail in the coffin for Vancouver, even though Vancouver did recover an onside kick. That game, one of the best games of the weekend. Another good game, Jacksonville hold on and hold off Canton 24-21. A solid game for Jacksonville as they really try and come back in their own. O.J. Bruin looks competent in this system. Canton put up a really good fight, a surprisingly good fight from the Classics under new head coaching from them. We'll see what happens later on down the week. San Diego loses quarterback Johnny Pickler for a large stretch, about a quarter and a half. They come back and win. They nearly come back and win, I should say. They lose by 5 to Arizona. Had the game been different, had Johnny Pickler been there for the entire game, may that game have been different. Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Los Angeles, more things change, more to say the same. Unfortunately, I met Sully Richardson at the convention. And of course got to see Michelle Colston again. That organization needs a little bit of help. And a little bit of positivity, because to come out and basically have a flat tire out of the gate, not good. Fortunately for them, they did put up a crooked number, though it was only 3 points. It was the first 3 points scored of the game, and then nothing. That's sad. Denver takes down Tulsa as Denver looks to improve with one of the youngest squads in the the league. 27-14, a solid game. Seattle, still iffy on the uniforms unless they come out with different ones. But all black with a darker color number is quite interesting. It's hard to see sometimes, especially from a third person, from a broadcaster point of view. It's interesting. That's what we'll say. But they come both away with a win. They beat division rivals Portland, and Seattle are division leaders in the Pacific. Who saw that coming? Who saw that coming? Seattle, you're Pacific Division leaders after week 1. DC narrowly fall to Charleston. A solid game in the nation's capital, 31-28. Charleston, your victors in that game, in the final game of the weekend, to christen in the new Stadio Matt Wilson. They also blow a fat tire. It's 27-3 Fort Worth Toros in that defense. That defense, very, very strong. Not all the stats are updated currently on the website just yet. The convention has thrown off a lot of things, including Ashley Jackson's PGI, post-game interviews, and SFL Nights with AJ Stryker. This entire week has been a little bit of catch-up because of the convention, so I speak for all content creators. Please bear with us as we gear up and get back to the swing of things this week. That's why the show has been pushed back to Thursday. Next week, we should be back to a Tuesday or Wednesday time frame, but we'll get to that later in the show. Well, if you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and click on that like button down below. And if you aren't subscribed already, we're trying to get past 150. We're trying to even hit 150. Please, if you would be so kind, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to get directly involved, or if you see that little thing over there on your left side called the People's Presser, aka show questions, where you guys get to ask me questions, and maybe you want to put one in there, a question for me, jump down into the description of this video and hit the Discord link. It'll take you to the NETMA Discord server where you can join the festivities and go ahead and peg me with a whole bunch of questions. And I am sure a bunch of the Minnesota guys and gals are going to be pegging me with a bunch of questions. So good to see everybody. We are a minute out from going on to the great running back question as we enter in this new era where I say, you know what? We need to hold our horses. Check the standings, and I answer a question that was asked by Terrell Sutherland over the NETMA Discord server, and about there's going to be so many players going over 3,000 rushing yards. There's going to be at least 10 rushers going over 2,000 this year, and I'm going to tell you why you guys might need to hold off just a little bit, and why if you're still thinking that maybe 5 to 10 people are going to go over 3,000, might want to do some more research and some fact checking, and maybe talk to your coaches. All right, 15 seconds until break 1. We'll be back in just over a minute's time to go over that great running back question. This is NETMA, otherwise known as Nobody Ever Tells Me Anything. We will be right back. Welcome back to the program, otherwise known as NETMA. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have your company here on this Thursday evening as we gear up for week 2 and recover after week 1 of the SFL's 21st season. So, the big storyline out of the preseason and out of week 1 was obviously the running back play. Lots of stellar performances, lots of running backs over 100 yards, some running backs we haven't seen go into the plus 100-yard total. Just got into the 100 yards with week 1. Here is the deal. First off, before I continue, I just noticed we hit 150 subscribers. Thank you all so much. You guys are awesome. You guys, this is why I do it. I do it for you guys. That's all I gotta say about it. Thank you. What do I do for 150? Do I blow the conch shell? Do I pop a cold one? What do I do? You guys tell me. Anywho, back to the running back question. When we were going over preseason before week 1, there was a question asked of how many running backs will get over 2,000 yards. And I had a pretty low guess. I think I said maybe 2 or 3. 2 or 3 running backs. There's a lot of people saying there's going to be more running backs. We've seen all of this come through, big running back performances, 200-300 yards on the regular. The big thing is about that. And we don't have all the stats. I don't have all the stats right now. All I know is Bullet Boletsky went 311 yards. That's the exact total. I know Brad Jones had a solid day. I know Brad Jones had a pretty decent day. The usual suspects, Love, Moses, Say, had decent days. They all had decent days. But the one thing that I said is it's too soon. Yes, we'll have maybe 1 or 2 break 2,000, but I don't think it's going to be an overloaded number. Here's the reason why. And this goes back to Terrell Sutherland in the chat. He brings up good points. We've seen all of this happen in the preseason. We've seen all of this happen in week 1. Why do we think it's going to continue? It says, are we really going to allow offenses to run their running game over you? The biggest thing about all of this is, do you not expect coaches to change the game plan? Do you not expect defenses to be more attuned to the run this time at the end of the season, when we come to weeks 12 through 14? Defenses will learn to shut down the run. We look at Mexico City. Phoenix Jones wasn't allowed to do very much. Los Angeles wasn't able to do too much. Unfortunately for our running back, Christian Pierce wasn't able to do very much. It's because defenses and defensive coordinators and head coaches will key in on the defense, on the run stopping. It's already happening. Coaches are throwing out their week 1 game plans and completely starting from scratch. Multiple teams are doing it. I cannot remember the person. I think it was Vince Lombardi. If you are not it's along the lines of you must reinvent yourself every year. And I think for this type of league, you need to reinvent yourself each week. If you really want to stay ahead of the curve, if you really want to be an unpredictable team that gets good results, you invent yourself again. For everyone that won this past weekend, have to do something different to get the same result. It's a game. It's a system that everyone has to learn. Some people will do too much and it'll come back to bite them. But it's, in my opinion, much better than doing nothing at all and completely disregarding the game plan and saying, we are running this, we are blockheaded, and we are going to do that. I'm not saying any team is going to do that because we have too many good people working on their system, their style of football, and saying, this did not work this week. It probably will not work next week. Or, our game worked so well, Boletsky had a 300-yard game, we might not see that the rest of the season. Because teams will combat your ability to completely, if not nullify, your attack and make you one-dimensional. Unfortunately, Mexico City was made one-dimensional. Unfortunately, Los Angeles was made one-dimensional. Unfortunately, Indianapolis was made one-dimensional. You have to continue to develop. For everybody out there that has a player, you have to continue to progress. Week 2, we're going to see a lot of progression, and then we're going to see some players saving up because a whole bunch of these attributes are completely bonkers in terms of cap, in terms of the amount of SFL dollars needed to purchase a point at the moment. The system currently is not geared in a ways for dramatic pushes, dramatic progression like we saw in the last 20 seasons. We are going to get some stagnation from players in terms of ability, but in terms of game planning, it will become much more cohesive, much more finite, much more dynamic in terms of stopping each and every team's strength. And if a team is not doing that, you will see them struggle this season. And that's why we saw teams like Seattle take down Portland for one of the first times in franchise history. We saw an upset with Baltimore, 5-time champion. Completely matched in terms of execution, in terms of game plan. Baltimore, and you're gonna see later on in the show, Baltimore did not move very much in my power rankings. Baltimore is still Baltimore, and they can still fight. If you think they are down, you better rethink about how they got here, about how strong that team is, because by and large, that team from a season ago is still here. They still played a fantastic game. Just couldn't eclipse Florida. And that's why I have Florida winning the SFL championship this season, because it proves in week 1. They came out and played strong. They took it to Baltimore. They played almost like the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. They did not play with them. They attacked them. They took the game that Baltimore was shoving down their throats and shoved it right back in Baltimore's. And that is what teams are going to have to do to not only beat Baltimore, but to beat Florida, to beat Minnesota, to beat Fort Worth, to beat Louisiana. There's a whole bunch of nuances, a whole bunch of wrinkles that we have yet to have seen exploited by teams just yet. There will be a change in game planning. There will be a change in execution. And I still believe we will only see a couple of players eclipse the 2,000-yard rushing mark. Definitely not 3,000. If you have your own opinion, you're welcome to have it. If you want to tell me why I'm wrong or you want to ask a question, guys, go head up into the NETMA Discord server, link to which is down below in the description. And go ahead and put your questions in the show questions channel. That way I can answer them on the People's Presser coming up after the next break. And Damon Simeon had a great point. Why am I taking breaks? Why am I taking breaks in between in between these segments? Because, and I have to do it for the last two shows because I was unable to due to life and work. Hopefully this weekend I'm able to. But I break these shows down into bite-sized under 15-minute segments. You guys, for whoever misses the show or if you want to watch a particular segment of the show, that's there for you. Did that with the first show back from the return. You guys can go check out those segmented shows to see what that's like. But able to go ahead and take part in the segmented shows. Hopefully the last three shows, including this one, will be segmented by the end of this weekend. That way you guys can watch back at your leisure. A couple of mentions here in chat. Let's see. Damon Simeon, well, in this game, you have no choice but to reinvent yourself each week. Otherwise, you will become very predictable. He also said, let's be honest, regarding bullet rushing over 300 yards, has a lot to do with the Baltimore D-line, as they didn't invest in their D-line financially. Which, again, could be exploited down the line if have yet to take a look at their progression for this week, but they very well could chunk a whole lot of those points they had from all those animations that they had in the last season, chunk them in there, and really come out strong in week 2. Don't know just yet. He also says, let's also not act like 300 yards rushing haven't been done before in the league prior to last week. It was done by Reggie Streeter in London and Darnell Black from Houston. So 2 other folks also in the 300-yard club. But it was like Damon said, very far and few between. We saw something like that happen. 1 minute to go until we hit the People's Presser after the break. Again, show questions channel is coming alive once again. A lot of folks can ask me questions about the convention, how I like the convention. Who did I meet? Let's be honest, I was a fangirl for a little bit when I met Ike McBride. I think one of my favorite people in the SFL. Had never met her before, didn't even know she was coming, and it was fantastic to meet Ike. I like Ike at the SFL convention. Great cheerleader at the SFL football game. Got to meet Ron Haynes, who did a phenomenal job recording a whole bunch of just clips. He recorded the induction ceremony, recorded the flag football game, reactions, all that kind of fun stuff. Got to meet him and his wife. Carried around a cornhole board for them from a little bit of a shopping spree. So many people I met. So many more folks out there that I haven't mentioned. It was great to meet all of you. All right, break number 2 on its way. After that, People's Presser. This is NETMA. Don't go anywhere.
I've had enough. You crossed the line. You're out of luck. You're out of luck. I'll take the blame. I've seen the world go down in flames.
Welcome back to NETMA here on Thursday evening, Thursday the 3rd of August. I'm Tyler Falk, host of the program. Welcome back, and it's time now for the People's Presser, where you guys ask me questions and I answer them, and hopefully answer them to the best of my ability, so I keep all of you informed just as much as I'm informed. And if you figured out the title of the show, I try to be informed as much as possible, because nobody ever tells me anything, and that's why I tell you. All right, on to the People's Presser. Now, there's Cliff Allen. Okay, time out. Yeah, special teams! Let's go. Oh, that will never get old. That's another man who I met at the convention that I absolutely had a blast with. So, Cliff, thank you for providing a spark, and here they come. Here they come. Mickey's always chiming in as well. Who else is going to chime in? Let's go. All right. On to the show questions, aka the People's Presser. All right, couple of little chats. Gerald Cumbus says, "Bring it to Frisco, Texas." At the basically Dallas practice field, the Ford Center with a nice little cowboy mini field on there that we could use. As well. All right, let's see. First question. Week 1 is always a roll of the dice, but what team showed a promising future and which teams did not? He says Motor City not included, because we always do great week 1, he says. Bearded Android being true. Really. All right. What teams did I think do really well week 1? And there's a good number of teams I think did really well. Charleston in DC played really well. That is promising. That is very promising for that Charleston team, who end of last season just really didn't have too much positive going for them. Good for them to get off on the right foot and take down DC. I think Charleston, a phenomenal job to start off this regular season. Seattle, of course. Seattle, I think, had a great start to the season as well. A great game against Portland, a back and forth game, and Portland were not perturbed by Portland being able to respond as much as they did. So I think that's good. Kudos to Seattle. I'm going to include Motor City in this one because you have to be ready for week 1. Motor City was ready for week 1. Yes, it's by and large what happens for them after, because if they continue on their current trend of season upon season, having one less win in the win column from seasons prior, you're looking at 2-10 for a final season record. So hopefully here's the bigger and brighter things for them. Mexico City. What was that? That's the what was that? Was not expecting that. It's a huge kudos to Fort Worth. That defense is well, it's carrying over from last season. I shortchanged them in the predictions, and maybe here's to me eating my words for Fort Worth. But Mexico City, yikes. Another yikes, of course. You can see it up on the screen. Yes, my check engine light is on. Indianapolis. We needed to call that tow truck in the end zone multiple times. We don't want to be nice ever again, especially to these guys. So need to pick it up a notch, and I have no qualms, and I have 100% faith in of course the owners and coaching staff, in Adam Wiseman and Chad Rowland, to move the team forward into a better direction. I think DC struggled, but I think they will bounce back and improve. So I don't think it's too much to worry about for them at the moment in terms of the long run. Early, it looks scary to lose at home, lose your home opener in a new era. Let's see, a couple more. All right, Mickey, we'll come back to your question here in a second. We'll see if I can't do something with that. For now, we'll go on to Luke Schreiner. I hope I pronounced that right, Luke. If Arizona doesn't win the West, who do you think would win it? Now it's after week 1. I can throw my predictions out the window for some of them. But who takes that division? That's a great question. I think San Diego might. If Arizona doesn't take it, I think San Diego will. Because of how tight they played Arizona. And again, without the injury to Johnny Pickler, all the controversy aside with Johnny, I think San Diego wins that game. And I think that it's a close call in that regard. But, sorry, doing something with something Mickey sent me, which you all will hear in a second. Or I should say, see in a second. Give me 2 seconds here while I create something. Meanwhile, I can answer another question while I'm doing that. David Leathers, which Week 2 games will be the most competitive / best to watch in Week 2? And we'll cover that in the lightning round section of the program. So wait on that while we cover that. Aside from meeting fellow SFLers at the convention, Ron Haynes asks, what was your favorite part of the convention? For me, it was getting to watch all the broadcasters live. Absolutely awesome. Appreciate that, Ron. Yes, it's different calling a game live, and it's different. It's different in general. Just being in person, getting to call games, getting to experience the atmosphere. And I say it every time. Being with the SFL community is always the best experience for me. Week in, week out. It is the best experience for me. Getting to meet so many new faces. Getting to meet so many new players. It's phenomenal. That's my favorite part. All right. Let's get to Mickey. His question is, how do I feel about this picture? Yes, that is Mickey Malillo in a Sasquatch costume with my flat cap. There's a reason why I'm not wearing it today. That particular flat cap. Yeah. How do I feel about it? Defeated. Get it? Because I got stomped. Literally. Yeah, that's enough of that. I took them a bit too far. Anywho. Alright. All jokes aside, that was great. That was great. I enjoyed hanging out with Mickey again. He had to leave he said he had work to some other guys. He told me he had a cruise, and of course he's on a cruise. So hopefully you enjoyed your cruise, Mickey. Hopefully, I think it's still going on for you. Yes, he probably lost 20 pounds there, Ron Haynes. But it was it was a great photo. It truly showed how dominated Indy was. So no, it's a great photo. Wait till you come to the snake pit. Wait till you come to the snake pit. We'll have something for you there. Again, a perk of being at the convention, you meet great people. You meet great people like Mickey, like Ron, like Cam, like Ashley, like Eddie, like T-Roy Gaines, T-Roy Trains. Yep. So enjoy your convention, Mickey. Oh, it was great meeting up with you again. Great meeting up with all of you at the convention. All right. Let's see. Frossel, Minnesota has the best and most good-looking third cornerback. Discuss. Mr. Frossel. It must, you know what? I have to say it. If any of you watch a different YouTube channel, everything great about insert movie title here, I'm also a fan of Beautiful Beard Wins. So, just based on the profile picture alone, that's a beautiful beard win for Nicholas Frossel. That's all I have to say. You mean 10 for rights? Asked Luke Schreiner. Oh, boy. you know, just based on the profile pic alone, Schreider, you got the suave look, whereas Frostl, it's this. And I do this because I can't grow a beard because of my occupation. So, we'll leave it at that. What other questions you guys got for me? What other questions we got? Again, I said we'll cover a whole bunch of stuff in the final segment. 5x5 will include power rankings. Lightning round will include pick'ems. And where I think what we should be looking forward to a couple of good games, a couple of surprising matchups that all of a sudden turn into must-watch games. And we'll get to that question in the lightning round in the next segment. What other questions we got? Cam asks, who's the ugly one next to the gorilla? Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Cam. All right, well, who else we got? What other questions we got? Who is my MVP in the flag football game? Ron Haynes asks. MVP. Type attack. I have to, so offensively, type attack. Yes, he came with interception, but the MVP on defense is Cameron Irvine. And yes, it's not because he got to just display all of his his accomplishments during the game in terms of the highlights, but all in all, the commish can move, guys. He can move, and he can be pretty dangerous. But what a great game! A great game. Yes, there was a lot of flags. Yes, I'm R62. I'm R62 in comments. So there's that. All right, a few different questions. Overreact after week 1. Indianapolis is going 0-12. Minnesota's going 12-0. What else? Seattle's going 12-0. Baltimore will not make the playoffs this season. We'll have 3 different running backs go over 3,000 yards. That's my overreaction. What else we got quickly? What players this week caught your attention that was not a running back? OJ Bruin for one. Ace Fennec played very well. Couple of not Arlovsky. I can't remember. DC's return, man, really caught my attention. Of course, one of the first players to return a kick. Frostle, how rare is it to get 2 Sasquatches in one personal? Some say it's impossible. I think it's you're better luck finding out. You're better luck finding out. You're better look at looking at what happens when 2 atoms collide than you are to see 2 Sasquatches together. Regarding pay scale, Bo Martin asks, in my opinion, do you expect a change to be made now, later in season, next season, or never in terms of the pay scale? Next season. Next season, pay scale will change. Unless it is deemed broken, which I don't think it is. It is uncanny in certain words, but I think we'll see a change to the pay scale next season. I think it's too late to change that for this current season. You have to. It'd be nice to be able to change it this season, but with all the behind the scenes work that has to go into getting the portal website updated, we won't see changes until next season. All right. Third and final break coming up here in about 10 seconds. When we come back, 5x5, I get to talk about 5 teams, get power rankings in the lightning round. We'll go over pick'ems, anything else I missed. This is NETMA. We'll be back in a second.
Are you ready?
we are back for the fourth and final segment here on Thursday. And before we get into week 2, I'm Tyler Falk, host of the program, otherwise known as NETMA. Glad to have your company here for the last 14 or so minutes here of the show. Glad to have you with us. All right, let's talk about a few teams. Let's talk about 5 teams in particular that impressed me or did not impress me. And then we'll take a look at power rankings right after that. Team number 1 that had not a whole lot to prove, but completely fell on their face. Los Angeles, unfortunately, just couldn't get the job done. Just was unable to really take control of that football game. Unfortunately for them, they're also on the road in Vegas. And Vegas played extremely well against them. That leads into team number 2, Vegas. Against a team that had very little to prove and really nowhere to do was up. Way to keep little brother down and continue to try and fight for the second best team in the division, which even though they're 1-0, I think San Diego is still has proven to be the number 2 team in that division. It all comes down to when those 2 teams will face off against each other later on this season. What will happen in terms of the matchup for that? But Las Vegas played very well. They'll move up in the power rankings. On to team number 3. Let's talk about that Seattle nemesis just a little bit. I touched on it a little bit, but to play consistently, to play effectively was the biggest impact for all teams this week, and I think Seattle exemplified that attribute very well. Getting Baloo Scott involved, getting some great passing out of type attack, proving that he can play on the simulated field and off the simulated field. A great show of athleticism from type attack this weekend. Another player who caught my attention this weekend. On to team number 4, and that would be San Diego. Now, controversy aside, grudges aside, misinterpretations aside, San Diego really gave Arizona a run for their money. A solid week 1, though they were unable to take down Arizona. An injury to Pickler hampered their progress, but still a solid performance from San Diego. They should hold their heads high up. I think they'll be okay with where I have them in this power rankings, because I think they played very well to deserve that spot. You'll see why here in a second. 5th and final team I'll cover real quickly. That is the Baltimore Vultures. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. They are not done yet. They are not done just yet. I said it back in segment 2. Just wait for them to turn the corner. Yes, that defensive line's a little shaky at the moment. Just wait. They'll turn things around. They've done it season after season. We see it. I think what's going to happen is a reverse of the seasons past, where they struggle toward the end of the season. They maybe lose a couple of games. They lose 2 to 3 games at the end of a regular season, but they come in the playoffs and play fine. I think the opposite happens. They'll struggle here in the beginning. I said they'd probably lose against Florida. They did. I think they'll probably lose in week 3 as well, but they'll completely turn things around in the last half of the season, go into the playoffs stronger than they would be if they were to flip-flop like they did in previous seasons. So that's my 5 teams. Los Angeles struggling. Las Vegas playing very well. Seattle playing very well. San Diego playing well in a loss. And Baltimore struggling, but not out. So that brings me to my power rankings. Here's what we're talking about. Los Angeles falls to the bottom of the table. A couple of teams also moving around. Indianapolis in the bottom 5 is more of a note. Motor City jump up 7 places. That's another big note. The highest moving team is right near the lowest moving team. That is Mexico City with a drop of 7. A few teams that may be surprised. Baltimore at 2. Not any lower. Florida, your number 1 after week 1, after proving that they can beat Baltimore. Louisiana jump for the top 5. Vancouver fall out. Minnesota just barely miss out in the top 5. We'll see where that goes. Charleston jump up into the top 12 and into the provisional provisional playoff rankings, we'll call them. But this is my power rankings for week 2. It'll go in the power rankings channel in the NETMA Discord server for all of your guys' perusal. And from there, you guys deal with it with however you would like. That's the power rankings. I'll leave it up here just a little bit as we get on to pick'ems for week 2. This is where all this comes in. The question was asked, what's the most exciting matchup for week 2? What am I looking forward to in week 2? Well, let's talk about that, shouldn't we, as we wait for a couple seconds. 5x5, there's your power rankings. Let's move on quickly. We'll jump the clock. Why not? Here's the pick'ems. Well, that's not pick'ems. That's show questions. Let's get back to pick'ems, shall we? See, I haven't done this in a while. It's gonna take me a bit to get used to jumping in and out of all this. But here we go. Week 2 pick'ems. This is where everybody else is at. So let's go ahead and give pick'ems for week 2. I didn't do so hot. I think I got under 500 for pick'ems in week 1. I'll get you the actual stats and put them in the pick'ems channel for later. But let's talk about these pick'ems, right? Mexico City, Indianapolis, 2 teams that fell out of the gate. I think the numbers really is too high on Mexico City at the moment. They only put up 3 points. They only put up 3 points at home, and you expect them to come over and beat Indianapolis? I don't think so. Indy's going to win that game. Jacksonville, Motor City. Yes, Motor City looked good, but so did Jacksonville. This is a game to watch. A really surprising game to watch, but it's early in the season. Both teams are 1-0. Who gets to 2-0? Some teams going 2-0. I don't think it's Motor City. I think Jacksonville comes away with a better game plan. They plan better for Motor City than Carolina did. Jacksonville takes their second win of the season and starts out hot. Canton at Louisiana at Canton, meanwhile, I think everybody's pretty much on that regard. I think Louisiana comes away with that football game. They played a very tight and tacky Atlanta team, but I think Louisiana comes in with the victory. Minnesota, Alamo City. This is going to be a barnstormer game. This is going to be a fun game to watch in the second block. Are they the second block? I can't remember if they're in the second block or not. Regardless. Minnesota, Alamo City, a great game to watch if you are a team that happens to be on a bye. Both teams played well. Alamo City came away with the win. 7-point win over Vancouver. Minnesota, nice. Indianapolis, of course. But let's turn the clock back. According to coaches and ownership, that Alamo City game plan wasn't really what they had in mind. Well, they came away with a win. A more manicured game plan, I think, gives Alamo City a win over Minnesota. It will not be home cooking for Minnesota. It'll be Minnesota Nice versus Southern Hospitality. I think Southern Hospitality wins out. Fort Worth and Seattle, another great game to watch. The Toros had great defense. Seattle had a lot of good offense, had decent defense late when it needed. This is a toss-up for me. You know what? I've been a rebel so far. Let's go Seattle here on this one. Sioux Falls and San Diego. Sioux Falls played pretty well. They play San Diego, who I think is number 2 team in the West. San Diego comes away with that victory, I think, pretty easily. And this is where Baltimore bounces back. This, to me, Carolina's struggling. Didn't like what they had in the playbook for the game against Motor City. They're on their heels. Baltimore on their heels. But they're a cornered wolf, and they'll come back and win that game. Our first look at Queen City this season after they were the lone team to have a week 1 bye. They play a Florida team who just beat the defending champs. It's a tough one for Queen City as they will play their first game in the season. I think Florida takes this one here in season 21. Arizona, Tulsa struggling. Arizona coming away with a nail-biter of a win. I think this one will be much less of a nail-biter. Ashley Jackson, re-enshrined Hall of Famer, comes away with the win here in this one. Los Angeles, Denver. Denver looks much stronger this game. I think this time last season would have been more of a toss-up. I think it's a no-brainer here. Denver playing very well with the young, hungry squad. Los Angeles falls to 0-2. Monday Night Spectacular with Cam and Paul. DC and Atlanta coming over in this one here on Monday night. DC struggling. They're now on the road. Atlanta struggling. This time, I gotta give it to DC. Here's why. Atlanta struggled on the road. Maybe they can get something done at the Hive, but I think DC comes up with a better game plan. They look strong versus Charleston. I think they put that extra piece together for Atlanta. Excuse me. They put that extra piece together against Atlanta and come away with that victory. There's your pick'ems in... I don't want that. I thought that would capture only that, but I forgot. It didn't. Gotta get back in the swing of things. Anywho, that's your pick'ems. Indy over Mexico City, Jacksonville over Motor City, Louisiana over Canton, Alamo City over Minnesota, Seattle over Fort Worth, SD San Diego over SF Sioux Falls, Baltimore beats Carolina, Florida beats Queen City, Arizona beats Tulsa, Denver beats Los Angeles, and DC beats Atlanta. That's my pick'ems for this week. 3 minutes, 48 seconds to go here in the program. Our last chance to catch up on anything we might have missed here on this edition of the program. Let's see. What else you guys got for me? Ron Haynes says, let's talk about the SFL flag football game, shall we? Great turnout in terms of not only players, in terms of fans. A lot of people showed up just to say hey and support. Julie All was there. BJ Loveless was over there. Good camaraderie, and I'm glad that the worst injury we had was a bruise from both Ballmer and Solberg there in an overtime, that fourth overtime. Really scary incident. I'm glad no one twisted an ankle. At least no one has let me know that they twisted an ankle at the SFL convention at the flag football games. So in terms of safety, and no one collided with, if anyone saw the replay, no one collided with that remnant stone from a warehouse building that was just planted there in the middle of that field. So that's good news. A gorgeous atmosphere. We were playing right on the river, as you saw in the drone shots. If you watched the live game or watched that, it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day for football. And I'm just glad we all had a great time. And the play on the field represented it very well. And so, lo and behold, 333 views in just 24 hours and 29 likes. That's a great, great number already for a flag football game for all of us. And if you like me doing R62 stuff, maybe I'll bring out. I got my whistle over in the back here. I've got my jersey and whatnot. Maybe I'll throw an R62 next year for another edition of the SFL flag football game. What else we got? Last knockings here of the week 2 preview part of the show. We got a lot of good things to look forward to this season. Week 1 proved a lot of good football in week 1, regardless of the blowouts. Tight games, tough games, but all in all, a great time. It capped off the convention, I think, rather well. But glad everyone made it home safe. Glad everyone had a great time. We had maybe too much of a good time. They had happy hour at the convention. We were allowed a couple of free drinks, and we had some fun. We had some fun, didn't we, everybody? All right, one last special teams. And yes, my check engine light is on, Mickey Malolo, as we close up shop here in the final little part of this program for this week. A special thank you to all of you at the SFL convention. A special thank you to all of you who have joined me either tonight or at some point during the time that this show is still on YouTube. Thank you for wherever you've been listening to, watching through, and hope that all of you enjoy week 2 of the SFL coming up tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. We don't have games Friday. That's weird. Coming up Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So we'll see you next week on another edition of NETMA. I've been your host, Tyler Falk. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy the weekend, and until next time, everybody, special teams! No. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.